The hybrid electrical car. Be ready to be informed. Speech number 1 from the technical presentation manual, Trent Martin.
Good morning. Let me ask you a question, guys. What are you doing to help the environment? Do you recycle? That's good. Do you conserve water? Turn off unused lights? Bah, as our more fair Toastmaster Scrooge would say, bah. That's not enough nowadays. If you really want to save the environment, and meanwhile let your neighbors know that you're helping the environment, what you need to do is get behind the wheel of a hybrid electric vehicle. You know, there's been a lot of talk over the last few years about hybrids, and the automakers are really pushing these things. And there's a good, the public's buying these things. But people I talk to, even owners, don't really have a good understanding of what a hybrid electric vehicle is or how it operates. I did a little research, and today we're going to find out a little bit more about it. We're going to find out what makes a hybrid electric vehicle, how those components work together, and we'll present some data from actual car makers that have cars today on the lots that you can purchase and select from. So first, let's talk about the components of a hybrid electric vehicle. I'll start off with the battery. This is not your garden variety car battery. This battery is much larger and can hold a lot more electricity than a regular car battery. And it needs to, because at times the battery is going to be called upon to help power the vehicle. We'll also have a gasoline engine. The gasoline engine is just like a conventional gasoline engine in a regular car, except it's a little smaller and a little bit more fuel efficient. And thirdly, we have an electric motor. The electric motor is very analogous to the conventional car's alternator or the older generator, in that it takes power from the gasoline engine, converts it to electricity for storage into the battery to help charge the battery. But here's the big difference in the electric motor, is that it can also work in reverse. It can take electricity from the battery and help to generate power to assist the gasoline engine. So we know that, other than that, it's real similar to a conventional car. Now let's talk about how these components all work together to help propel the car. In the morning when you get into the car, crank the engine, the gasoline engine is going to warm up. If the battery's a little low, the electric motor will be powered by the gasoline engine to generate electricity to charge up the battery a little bit. While we're just driving along, cruising, it's the gasoline engine that's being utilized. So in this respect, it's just like any other conventional car on the road. Coming up to a stop, at a stoplight, or if you're in a drive-thru and you stop the vehicle, the funny thing happens that doesn't happen in a regular car, is that the electric motor and gasoline engine just shut off completely. Just stop. All auxiliaries, your air conditioning, your lights, your radio, these things are powered by the battery. When that light turns green, it's time to go, the electric motor instantly starts the gasoline engine and off you go. This is all happening automatically. You're not even aware of it as a driver typically. And one other thing that distinguishes a hybrid electric vehicle from a regular car is when it comes time to slow down or brake. It's called regenerative braking. And in this process, regenerative braking, it actually generates electricity by using the power of the car, the momentum of the car, and harnesses that power. If you think about it, a 2-ton hunk of metal hurtling down the road at 60 miles an hour, that's a lot of energy in motion. And if you just come to a stop sign on a regular car, all that energy is wasted, and then you got to get going again, and it's not very efficient. So with a hybrid electric car, the turning wheels, when it comes time to brake, and the turning wheels turn the electric motor and that creates electricity for storage into the battery. So that harnesses a lot of the energy that would otherwise be wasted. So that's a pretty neat feature of that. Okay. Now, what I did with this information is go to the websites of several car makers and looked at 7 different cars that have conventional cars and also have a hybrid counterpart. So we can compare apples to apples and see how the hybrids stack up. What I found was very interesting is that the auto manufacturers differ greatly between one another. But the other cool thing is hybrid electric cars vary even within the same manufacturer. Let's take a look at what I found. I'd like to ask you well, on this graph, let me explain. On the x-axis, we have fuel efficiency, which is in miles per gallon. And on the y-axis, we're showing the weight of the vehicle. We have, in the blue dots are the conventional cars, and the corresponding red dots are going to be the hybrid electric equivalents to those cars. So we'll have a conventional Honda Civic and a hybrid Honda Civic, for instance. I'd like to ask what, if anything jumps out, what do you notice about this chart? Those of you with young eyes who can see. Well, they're not exactly parallel, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I would like to point out that we see a negative correlation, that the heavier the vehicle, the less fuel efficient the vehicle is. Now we probably all knew this. We didn't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and drive across town to hear me speak to figure out that a heavier vehicle gets worse mileage. However, let's take a look at these trend lines. These trend lines are not exactly parallel. In fact, if you get close enough to look, for the heavier vehicles, the difference between these, or the lighter vehicles, the difference between the conventional car and the hybrid car is 10 miles per gallon. But the difference for the heavier vehicles is only 5 miles per gallon. So if you're going to talk about getting your bang for your buck and going out and buy a hybrid, it intuitively tells you that you get more bang for your buck by buying a lighter vehicle. Now, I went another step further and actually labeled each of these points. And here's where it really gets interesting, is that, as I said, there's a big difference between automakers and even within the same automakers. For instance, Chevrolet makes a Silverado truck, which is a very heavy vehicle, in a conventional and a hybrid options. The hybrids gets 4 miles or 5 miles per gallon better than the conventional car. However, the Chevy Malibu, they're both Chevrolets right here, gets only 1 mile per gallon better with this hybrid. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm going to drop $4,000 or $5,000 to upgrade to a hybrid electric car, I would sure hope to get more than a mile per gallon better gas mileage. Now let's talk about the difference between car makers. Lexus makes an SUV hybrid that gets 8 miles per gallon better than its conventional counterpart. That's pretty good for a heavy vehicle. Now Ford makes an SUV, the Escape, which gets only 4 miles per gallon better than with this hybrid than its conventional twin. The Ford Fusion's been getting a lot of press lately, and from this graph we could really see why. The Ford Fusion hybrid gets a full 10 miles per gallon better with this hybrid than with the conventional Ford Fusion. That's pretty good. The Honda Civic, though, really is a winner when it comes to making a hybrid. Its hybrid gets a full 12 miles per gallon better with this hybrid than the conventional Honda Civic. In fact, it gets a 43 mile per gallon with this hybrid. And that's pretty good. I bet you're all happy you came here today. Because now, you guys know more about hybrid electric vehicles than 99% of the people out there, and that makes you all experts. We've learned what the different components of a hybrid electric vehicle are. We know how those components work together. And now, we also know that all automakers are not the same. There's a great deal of difference between and even within the same automakers. So with this information, you can You can make an informed decision about if you want to buy a hybrid electric car, or you can just take this information to impress your coworkers or spouse. Thank you.